Hello and welcome to the March 2015 Healing Arts Center practitioner video interview. This month we are hanging out in one of the treatment rooms at Kula where Lisa Anthony works, and we're joined by Lisa. Hey Lisa.
Hi.
And Lisa is a licensed mental health therapist who specializes in grief and trauma therapy, utilizes hypnotherapy as well. So excited to dive in and learn a little bit more about what all that means and how it can be just really powerful healing work for people that are ready for it, and also just give them a chance to get to know you, your background, and what type of services are available here at Kula that they may not be aware of. So thank you for doing this. Maybe we could start, just give people a little bit of sense of just you as a person and kind of what brought you to this path, and then we can dive into some of the modalities.
Okay. All right. So for me, I've been a mental health therapist for a long time, maybe I want to say over 10 years now. And, I personally had some anxiety that I suffered from. So at some point, I wanted to specialize. So I started looking at anxiety and pulling it up, and everything pulled up hypnosis, hypnotherapy. So I became rather interested in that. I guess at that point in time in my life, I was also ready to take a journey, self-discovery, learning about myself, that kind of thing. So I went to a hypnotherapy training in New Mexico, in Santa Fe, which is beautiful. I don't know if you've...
I have not been there. I need to get there, though. I want to go there, and her house is beautiful.
Everything, they're very open-minded, and so I went there and kind of did my own self-growth and learned hypnotherapy, had it done to me, did it on other people, and I did, a full training. Some people offer these little weekend trainings, but I did the full 3 months, so I got certified, ACHE certification. And then I went to work at a treatment center, and I was a regular therapist there doing talk therapy. I knew how to do the hypnosis, but at that time I was hired as a regular therapist, and then I was given free reign to do what I wanted there with my patients, and I started doing hypnosis on some of mine that could benefit from it. Then everybody else's patients wanted hypnosis. So that's how it came about, and then my boss said, well, this is something, And he went to a training with me, and he said, I want you to do this full time and run a hypnotherapy program. So
that's amazing.
Yeah. That's how I ended up with that. And, my love for that, it's just, I ended up doing grief and trauma, actually, because there was more of a need for that there, and I ended up loving that, and that's what I wanted to do. But it's good for everything. Hypnosis is good for anxiety, for self-esteem, for depression, a lot of things. And so I started running the program there, and it was very rewarding. It's a very rewarding job because I can do talk therapy as well, which is very beneficial too. But the thing about hypnosis, it gets to a deeper level.
Yeah, that's where I wanted to kind of go with it and, get into some of the nooks and crannies of it all. So I'm imagining something along the lines of really kind of dropping beyond the conditioned conscious patterns of how we operate and getting into some of the substructures and maybe unlocking some unconscious patterning. Is that the idea that's happening?
Well, there's two types of sessions that I would do. And once you're relaxed, and I do a little induction, it's like a meditative type state. And so once, somebody's in a relaxed state, things come in and out easier. In and out of the mind, the subconscious mind. So that I can there's sessions where you pull up negative things from the past, traumas, grief even, it's very good with grief, things like that. And you work them out. Or there's also less interactive type sessions where you put more positive in, trying to outweigh the negative, essentially, which would be like affirmations and positive things. You would be putting in nice things. Most of what I do is interactive. It's working stuff up and working it out, because I specialize in grief and trauma.
Right.
A lot of people, things are very painful emotionally. The grief, the trauma, things like that. They tend to want to sidestep it and avoid it. And in doing that, a lot of people will, they have different coping skills, but some people will try to numb it, with alcohol or drugs, things of that nature. especially where I work full time in the treatment center.
Right. Makes sense.
So, they try to avoid in that way. And other people have different coping skills, staying busy, there's just various ways people cope, but unhealthy ways. So, if you really want to work out grief and trauma, you have to kind of take it on like you're fighting it. And that's what people don't want to do, because you have to feel the pain,
You have to
feelings
acknowledge
are meant to be
it.
felt, right? So we have to dive in, we have to take it on, and then we kind of break through to the other side. And that's the basis of the work that I do.
I just love the resiliency of human beings, and that we can go through these like traumas and griefs, and it doesn't feel good, so we want to suppress it. But I think it seems to be that people will also just like really derive their sense of self from their emotional pain, and so it's such a delicate balance to feel what you're feeling, but know that it's still just a feeling. And I've been thinking about the statement, what kind of mood are you in? And I was thinking, like, we're not really in moods are in us. Yeah. And just to reframe the way we perceive our emotions, not denying them and not identifying as them. And so I was wondering if you could kind of speak to how hypnotherapy maybe can change our relationship to our emotions.
Well, when you said something that kind of struck a chord there when you said identify with them, because a lot of times, especially with traumatic situations, or and especially when they come from childhood, right? Because child mind is very different from adult mind, so a lot of times people get stuck.
Yeah, we were still patterning the same old ways. Yeah.
They identify themselves as their trauma
a
lot of times. Or they let the trauma identify them. Like that defines me as a person, and it doesn't define you as a person, and that's a big part of what I do is having people to realize that you don't have to let that define you.
So you're really going into some really subconscious or unconscious like root worldviews and belief structures about who we are, and then repatterning that. It's confronting but liberating, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it's very liberating, especially. It's very emotional for people. They have emotional release usually when I'm doing the deeper traumas and things, and that's very healing for them. And you can see that right away. And
I love that you're here doing this kind of work, because to me that's the healing work. I mean, whether it's coming through one-on-one, or it's through yoga, it's through hypnosis, meditation, all these different tools that we have available to us. And I just acknowledge you for doing that kind of work and intersecting with people in such a helpful way in their lives, and a meaningful way. It's really cool. We just have like 2 minutes, so the time flies. It's like we'll never get to 10 minutes. It's just like time travel. Maybe just a closing thought on if somebody's on the fence on if this is right for them, how they can maybe not necessarily, I'm not asking you to convince them, but to really help them discern whether or not it is something that would be appropriate for what they're experiencing.
Well, like I said, it's good for a wide variety of things. But I always do an assessment when somebody comes in, and I do regular mental health therapy as well. So what I do is I do a full sort of plan when they come in. We go over everything childhood forward, and are there any griefs? Are there any traumas? If it's anything that needs to be worked out in hypnotherapy, then I encourage them to do that usually, because of it being a more brief. It's a more brief therapy. It's like
more accelerated.
It's accelerated. Anything you're going to do in talk therapy, you can do the same, but you come in for a week, for however many months, versus 1 to 3 sessions in hypnosis, and it's cleared up.
It's just amazing. How powerful. Awesome. Sign me up. Thank you so much for doing this, taking the time.
I appreciate it. And I love this office, by the way. It so fits.
It's perfect.
I love it. It's just holistic. It's a beautiful place. They offer so many different services. I think it's wonderful.
Well, thank you for being an integral part of it.
Thank you.
Yes.